2018 is about to wrap up. Christmas is just around the corner and New Year's will be just a few days after that, as it typically is. And we'll be taking our first steps into the year of 2019. But before we do that, I like to talk about and look back on 2018, all the things that we did here on the Mathis Games channel, the Judge Mathis channel, and all encompassing of all the projects that I work on, and just kind of look back on what we accomplished and what I'd like to accomplish in the coming year. And 2018 was probably the busiest year for me as a content creator ever, and I've been doing this for a long time now. So before we dive into that, thank you, as always, for supporting me. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. There would be no me doing this as a job if you guys weren't watching. And most importantly, we're about to walk into our 7th year doing this as a profession, maybe 6th, and then as a hobby, we're almost a decade in working as just doing this as a hobby, which is insane to me because it feels like yesterday I booted up StarCraft on my old dingy PC and made my first video and threw it up on the Mathis StarCraft channel, which is still up there. You can go watch. I don't know if the first video's up there, but that channel's still up there and you can go see all that terrible commentary that I did back then. Also, if you're not quite sure where I am, this is kind of like the set that I record Judge Mathis with. So if you don't know, and you never heard of the Judge Mathis channel, hey, I have a second channel. You can go check it out. I do video game reviews and stuff of old PC games for the most part. Cover a couple of new stuff here and there, but. Well, let's talk about Mathis Games first, because I think Mathis Games has probably the most to talk about. It was a very turbulent year for that channel, not in a bad way, not in a way that it was crashing and burning, but in just how I approached content creation on Mathis Games. It's no secret if you've been watching Mathis Games all this year that I have had moments where I have felt stuck with the creative process of Mathis Games. I very much felt like I was just going through the motions and creating Let's Play videos in a style that just didn't feel very challenging to me anymore. And I know that sounds silly, but me personally, I love creating. I love making videos, writing scripts, doing something that gets my creative juices going. I've always been like that, and Mathis Games had very much lost that kind of luster for me for quite some time. And in 2018, I really wanted to change it up. I wanted to find that spark that I felt like I lost on the Let's Play front and see if I could reignite it again and maybe make different kind of content. And you saw that over the many months of 2018. It felt like the kind of content I was putting out was changing often and very regularly to good and bad comments, which is unsurprising, especially for those who came for one type of content and then 3 months later they were getting a different type of content. But for me, it was necessary. I needed to search, figure out what was going on with me here and creatively. I needed to figure out why Mathis Games wasn't as fun for me anymore. And the first step for me was bringing in somebody to take a little bit of the load off my plate. So Dean, who's my editor and a good friend of mine for Judge Mathis, I recruited him for Mathis Games. Thank God he agreed. And we started to try to fiddle with things a little bit. The biggest change, obviously, was the reintroduction of Facecam and the massive amount of editing that goes into every episode, which still happens to this day. And I think that was the best change I made, at least initially. A big part of making content on YouTube is just trying to figure out what YouTube wants via its algorithm or what it pushes, and constantly trying to play with what is a basically ever-changing platform that never communicates with you. And that's a lot of what Mathis Games was. So we focused up quite a bit. Instead of doing 3 to 5 episodes a day, we do 1, maybe 2 if we have some collaboration videos we want to throw up. But we very heavily narrowed down Mathis Games to 1 video a day that's heavily edited with Facecam. And that has been nice for us. For me personally, it makes the episodes much more watchable. I have a lot more fun doing it. I feel a lot less pressured to have something happening for 20 minutes straight and hope that that's enough to keep people entertained. Instead, now I can record for 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes and then chop all that down to the best parts and have a 15 to 20 minute episode that's still cohesive and fun to watch, and is actually a lot funnier now because Dean looks for those moments and basically makes the episode much more engaging. Statistically, the views didn't really change per episode, but the retention time went way up. Each video, while still hit the same amount of views, instead of hitting 30–40% retention, we were going upwards of 60–70% retention rate throughout the entire video, which is very high and very good. And while that's good for YouTube algorithm purposes and just trying to game the system, I guess, it wasn't enough for me. It didn't feel right. I still felt like something was off. So that's why you saw other changes on the channel. Different types of style of game, different types of style of commentary, collaboration, solo focus, survival games, AAA games, old retro games. I was trying a bunch of different things just to see what people wanted and what people latched onto and what people didn't. And that's why we are where we are right now on Mathis Games. Perhaps the most happy I've been on Mathis Games in many years. Which is kind of funny for those who have been around for a while, because to some, it might look like I just went back to my roots. I went back to playing survival simulators, RimWorld, Kenshi, stuff that really launched my channel. The Zomboid days, and then up to 2014 before I heavily shifted gears in 2015 to do other things. But to me, it's a lot different because of the kind of content I'm doing with those similar styles of games. There's no secret, I love survival sims and all that stuff, but just making the kind of content that that kind of game allows can get very boring very quickly. But I had an idea, and it was an idea I had been playing with for a couple of years, but never felt confident enough to give it a shot. But I threw it by Dean, and he loved the idea, and so we gave it an episode or two. We made 2 of them. We loved the way it looked, and we threw it out into Mathis Games with our fingers crossed. And before the video even went live, we said to each other, this is special. Like, this is very different, and I like it a lot. And that is the Kenshi series, which has only been very recent. And that kind of style of video I'm doing on Kenshi isn't necessarily new on YouTube. In fact, if you go back to one of my videos from 2011, one of my earliest Project Zomboid series, I have a weird little animated intro and I'm trying to tell a story, but back then I had no experience speaking in any way, trying to be engaging in any way. It was very much me leaning into my microphone, very monotonously talking, and it wasn't very fun. But I had been trying to do that kind of commentary and that kind of video for a while, and I always held on to that idea, that nugget. And, you know, 6-7 years later of experience and how to speak, and obviously writing scripts and you know, playing Dungeons and Dragons for almost 20 years, funneling that into that style of commentary again has really reignited it quite a bit. And the numbers on the Kenshi series kind of remind me of Zomboid. I have been, you know, quietly to myself saying, you know, I think we found another Zomboid for the channel. I don't know if that's true yet. It feels true, but it's still early. You know, we're only 4 or 5 episodes in at the time of me doing this. And I'm not entirely sure where it's going to go, but I do feel like this is where I'm supposed to be in Mathis Games. This is the stuff that people came to me for. This is the stuff I'm good at. Not gameplay-wise specifically, but you know, telling a story, emergent gameplay, trying to wrap it in a shell or a wrapper that is easily digestible for those who even don't know what the game is about, and it succeeded. And I kind of want to push forward with that. So I think Dean and I are going to take that formula and see how we can adapt it to different games. They won't always be the same, but that the idea of the emergent story being told in such a way that it feels like the game is supposed to be played that way, or at the very least that this is just, it feels scripted to some people. I get a lot of people who ask, are you doing the narration before or after the game, or are you doing it during your playthrough? Spoilers, I do it during. It's all off the top of the head. I don't script it, I don't plan it, I just kind of reiterate in a way what happened during the game in a way that makes sense via character motivations and the like. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So as far as Mathis Games is concerned, more of that. You're going to be seeing a lot more of that as time goes on. If you like what you're seeing on Mathis Games, let me know, because right now the only thing I have to work off of is Kenshi, obviously, but if you'd like to see that style of game done in other games, obviously, if you guys are enjoying it as well, let me know, because that's the only way I know if I want to continue. But if not, you know, just thank you guys for the support on the Kenshi series, and it really excites me and Dean to kind of take that style and try and apply it later on to other games that we're going to be doing here on Mathis Games as well. So many thanks. My other baby, the Judge Mathis channel, has had an interesting 2018 as well. I think we've put out on Judge Mathis some of the best episodes we have ever created for it. It has been just a joy and continues to be a joy to work on Judge Mathis 3 years in now. So the big thing that has kind of shifted on Judge Mathis is the step away from trying to do an episode every 2 weeks and get an episode live when I feel like it's good enough. That means some months you get 2 episodes, some months you get no episodes, and I think 1 or 2 of the months this year you got none. At one point though, it's tough for me to really blame myself in a lot of ways because I lost one of my really good friends this year, John Bain. And obviously that affected workflow on all fronts. But there's really not much I can really, do about that. Miss you, John, and I hope everything's good wherever you are. But other than that, Judge Mathis has been really great. The Sanitarium Halloween special was exceptional. I'm so proud of that, and I hope Dean is incredibly proud of that as well. I wouldn't be able to do Judge Mathis without Dean. Dean is 50% of that channel at this point. His talents, his eye for comedy, editing in a style that I've been, I love. Being able to create music and help me write or just fully write a rap song or something like the Sanitarium episode. I wouldn't be able to do. Judge Mathis wouldn't exist without him. And for that, Dean has been nothing but a blessing to my content since the minute I decided to ask him to work with me. So Judge Mathis will continue at the pace it's been going at in 2018, where, I'm hoping for at least 1 episode a month, 2 if we're good, if we can knock it out. But I really feel like not forcing myself to grind out 2 episodes a month has been nothing but a boon to the content and the quality of the content of Judge Mathis. Judge Mathis is also still very small. It is a baby, it is a hobby, it is a pet project of mine, and it will, unless it skyrockets into utter success, that's just how I'm gonna, approach content from now on. Maybe if we ever get to the point where it is self-sustaining and I can bring on 1 extra person, we can really look at getting 2 episodes a month or 1 episode a week if we ever get to that point. But for where it's at right now, I'm very happy with it, and you can expect Judge Mathis to just continue as it's been continuing through all of 2018 into 2019. The last project that is not new in 2018 is the Lost Initiative show. So if you don't know, I also have a D&D Twitch stream with myself and one of my best friends, Scott, Daleric on the internet. He is the person I played D&D with since I was 16 years old. He is one of my best friends ever. We started Lost Initiative in 2017, towards the end of 2017 into 2018, and it's kind of been our first full year of Lost Initiative, and it has been interesting, good. I've loved the shows we've put on this year. Dark Sun and Star Wars are personal favorites. We did a little vampire show throughout the year, which ended up not finishing just due to scheduling conflicts. But the kinds of shows we've put on, the rule systems we've explored on Lost Initiative, and how much more consistent we were in 2018 compared to 2017 is a point of pride for me. It is still a very niche little area on Twitch, and unless you are basically Critical Role or role play, you are not a massive show, and that still holds true for Lost Initiative. It is very much just, at this point, a hobby for me and Scott, where we don't really expect it to be anything more than it is. We'd love it to be, and we'd love it to grow, but because it's such a pet project, it's not high on our priority list to push forward. I have so many other projects going on that I unfortunately can't dedicate an insane amount of time to Lost Initiative than I already do. But if it ever gets bigger, then obviously I'll look into dedicating more time. But Lost Initiative will continue into 2019, every Wednesday night, and as of right now, every other Thursday. But after January, you might see a little bit of a shift in the games that are playing in the schedule, but Lost Initiative show will still be here. We'll still be having a great time with it, and I hope you guys end up watching. So new stuff in 2018 that I got to play with as well. I got to be on another D&D show, Roll For It. That's Enter Elysium's D&D show that he's had for 5 or 6 years now. They brought me on to do initially just a little temporary 6 or 7 episode World of Darkness campaign where the players were all immortals. That went phenomenally well. I will say that the players that I have playing with me now in Roll For It are gifts. Very rarely do you come across a group of players that has such instant chemistry to the point where you feel like they've been playing together for so many years and are so willing to throw themselves into the world that you're presenting that it's just seamless. Because that group was so good, we took that group and we went and did a full-fledged season, or still doing a full-fledged season of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition that runs every Saturday at noon EST. We just finished up week 16. We're on our holiday break now, and it has been incredibly fun to do that too. World of Darkness is my system, you know what I mean? It's a system that clicks with me the most. It's the one that I understand the most. It's one whose lore I adore, and I've been wanting to run like a true Vampire the Masquerade campaign with players who really enjoy the setting for quite some time. And this feels like the first time we've really delved deep into Vampire, and I couldn't be happier. And they are clearly happy as well since I'm still around, and there are whispers of what could come next after Vampire wraps up, but If you're curious, if you look up YouTube, Sounds of Silence, Vampire the Masquerade on their Roll For It channel, you can actually go watch it. Very, very happy with that, and I hope that continues in the future as well. And the last project of 2018, and the last new project of 2018, and the one that I was not expecting to just take off like it did, is Chilluminati. The weird comedy paranormal podcast with myself, Jesse Cox, and Alex Fasciane of you know, Jesse of his own channel and his own stuff, and Alex of his stuff like the National Dex and Super Beard Bros, and being part of the Completionist over there. Two good friends of mine that I've known for a while now. It's very difficult to talk about Chilluminati because I'm still kind of blown away by how popular it became. We're not even a year old yet. February it marks our first episode that we ever did, which was the Amityville episode. We strive to get 2 episodes up a month, but you know, it's still just a hobby and our schedules are not, you know, perfect yet for Chilluminati. But that has been wonderful. I have had probably the most fun I have ever had on a new project in a long, long time. Maybe, you know, considering the last one, Judge Mathis, 3 years ago, that I have ever had doing Chilluminati stuff. It's funny how it kind of came about, but more or less it was at PAX South last year. They were doing a Scary Game Squad panel, and I am into a lot of like I'm into paranormal stuff in general, and there's a few comedy paranormal stuff I listen to, podcasts, and I was watching them do Scary Game Squad, and I love all 4 of those boys up there, but I know Gerard is insanely busy, and Davis has his own stuff going on. But I was sitting there thinking, if I wanted to do a podcast with 2 other people, listening to Jesse and Alex up on that stage, their rapport with one another, their banter, their natural banter with one another is so good. And I knew Alex was already deep into conspiracy stuff. He loves that stuff. And Jesse loves it as well, but he's the skeptic. I just approached them after. I was like, hey, dudes, I have an idea. Let's do a podcast, if you're game, where we talk about paranormal stuff, aliens, ghosts, cryptids, you name it, and maybe some true crime stuff filler in there as well. And we can put out episodes once every 2 weeks. I'll do, you know, whatever I can to make sure most of the work is on my plate to begin. And if it's good, and we push on. If it's not, it's not. And we gave it a try. I think it would, you know, I think it'd be fun to give it a shot. And much to my surprise, it was just an instant yes from both of them. Just yes, let's do it. And then in February, we got together. We did the Amityville episode, and it was instantly good. It was a very good episode, and we just pushed on from there. Since then, we have done live shows. We've got another possible live show in the works right now. We've got merchandise. We hit like 50,000 unique listens per episode. It's just been, we've got our first brand deal that we're working on right now. Usually that stuff doesn't happen so fast, but with Chilluminati, it has. And for me, if you give a shit about inside baseball stuff at all, a lot of it is because I saw this niche in podcasting, this paranormal niche exploding, and a lot of people wanting more of that kind of content without a lot of people giving them that kind of content. And I love that stuff anyway. It was just instant. I'm very, very happy and very lucky that Chilluminati has really become what it's become over the past almost year now. And I want to thank you guys for just eating that stuff up as we're able to put it out. It has been, to be cliche, a blessing. It's just been nice. So going into 2019, Chilluminati should just continue to grow. Hopefully, you know, we'll be able to put up more episodes in 2019 than we did in 2018. And as long as it continues to grow in the way that it is, I don't see how Chilluminati wouldn't just kind of become its own thing. Pie in the sky dreams, Chilluminati is like very, very big and successful, and we can do an episode a week for you guys without a problem in the world. We've thought about how we would want to monetize it. I've pitched the idea of a Patreon, but we really wanted to do a full year of episodes first before we decided how we wanted to monetize. We did decide to do merch because people were asking for it, and it has sold extremely well. You can go find your merch on theyeti.com. Just search Chilluminati and you'll find stickers, hat, t-shirt currently. We might do more later. Sponsorships obviously has been super nice as well, and it's much easier to integrate sponsorships in a podcast than on a YouTube video, I've discovered, which has been really nice. Other big pie in the sky things for Chilluminati in 2019 would be doing live stuff with Alex and Jesse, where we go ghost hunting and maybe record it, or do like look for aliens out in Arizona or whatever. I think doing some live stuff would be a lot of fun to do, and maybe we'll see that happen in 2019. 2018 has been the busiest year of my life. It has been wonderful in every way, but it has been chaotic. But I feel like right at the end of 2018, we hit our groove with Mathis Games, Judge Mathis, Chilluminati, Roll For It, Lost Initiative. It has all been really, really fun. So with that in mind, thank you guys so much for an incredible 2018, and here's to an even better 2019. If there's something in 2018 you particularly enjoyed as far as my content is concerned, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I just want to say thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to do this as I do it. You guys are awesome, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.
We like to gamble. 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 We like to gamble.